Our next speaker is also our founder and CEO, Mr. Andrew Bruzzi. Andrew is a global mobility and HR innovator with a love of robots, data science, program design, and process optimization, having over a decade of industry experience. Andrew founded and currently leads Vendium Global, a data-driven HR consultancy firm dedicated to helping client partners become the benchmark of the future. Throughout his career, Andrew has helped over a dozen of the Fortune 500 companies and many smaller organizations improve their HR programs. Andrew's specialty is in automation and program development, incorporating conversational AI, data analytics, training, tools, design, and much more to improve HR business operations and compliance. Prior to founding Vendium Global, Andrew led the global mobility program of the Fortune 1 company, Walmart. During that time, Andrew's team's work was featured in the Wall Street Journal for Executive Home Sale Program Innovation. With a passion for helping the world connect, Andrew hosts a YouTube channel where he instructs e-courses and over 20 educational videos on global mobility and HR-related topics. He has published numerous articles, talks, ebooks, and is the president of the Southern Talent Acquisition and Relocation Coalition. I should preface that he also made me, so I may be a bit partial. But without further ado, allow me to welcome Mr. Andrew Bruzzi.
Well, thank you for the warm introduction, Anna. I also want to thank Dr. Velton and his team at Go Culture for co-sponsoring the event, as well as all of our great speakers and attendees today. The topic that we're going to be discussing is the power of an augmented workforce. During this talk, I'm going to be supported by another one of our digital team members. Thank you so much for helping me out, Kieran.
Thank you for inviting me. I am glad to help and excited for our talk.
I am as well. As we get started, let's discuss terms. So first, what is an augmented workforce? This is a term that we use at Vendium when we incorporate technology with humans to make them even more impactful. How impactful? Well, let's have a bit of fun and define superhuman. Webster Dictionary says that it's exceeding human power, size, or capability, and to this result is quite literally a team of superhumans.
Will there be an added cost for the capes?
No capes. But when we hire properly, we already have a team of heroes. It is the augmentation that makes them superheroes. Considering the topic of the conference, I want to mention two things. The first is that novelty is so often confused with innovation. Having a widget doesn't make you innovative. Properly disrupting a process does. Second is that adaptation is how we get through challenges. We often hear this referred to as pivoting. We seek to improve adaptation and innovation when we augment workforces. And let's explain why. Darren, could you please bring up the diagram?
Yes, sir. We will use this as an illustration how and where we augment, and by using what tools. If I may suggest, let's start at the brain.
That's a great idea. Our team's minds are their most powerful tool in helping to propel our organizations forward. It helps them take us through whatever we may face. Just as when we go to the gym to work out our bodies, we should also have tools in place that work out our minds. To do this, we need scalability, effectiveness, and also accessibility. Scalability is essential because, as leaders of global organizations, the consistency of learning amongst our people is essential to a cohesive workforce. This means that computer-based learnings are the most effective to scale and allow our teams in Madrid to get the exact same development as the teams in Montreal. We can have an entire session on computer-based learnings, but the most impactful ones allow for the user to see, hear, and interact. These aren't simply a video that we put on and watch once, but something that is built into our culture with meaningful follow-ups. We also need accountability in this regard. Additionally, we need to be sure that they are applicable to the audience, so language and context may be changed depending on where we are, but ultimately, we want the general message to remain the same. So let's dive a little bit deeper into effectiveness. Good trainings work off of psychology, but great trainings work off of human biology. There's an entire field of study around game theory, but the short version is that we are biologically programmed to seek out the feel-good chemicals that our brain releases. So what does this? For the parents out there, you know more than most how difficult it could be to remove your kids off of video games. They can play for hours or even days, and we so often ask ourselves why. But the reason is because of the feel good chemicals that are released as they go ahead and level up in the game, as they accomplish a goal in a digital world. By modeling your learnings like a game, the user gets the biological reward that they would from a video game while they interact with the interface. This could be as simple as having a pre assessment built in of modules targeting their see, hear, and interaction senses, and then providing a post assessment to see how they leveled up in the development. This is particularly impactful when you put it in a friendly competition setting. We've all enjoyed when we've scored higher than our friends on Facebook in a quiz, and then we share it. It's not because we are so proud of ourselves for knowing more capitals than anyone else, but it's because of those feel good chemicals that are released when we do. Accessibility is simply your team's ability to access the trainings without having layers of approval and red tape. In many organizations, we so often are blocked from seeking development because we may need managerial approval or a budget line item for it. If your training is cost prohibitive, then it's something you should get rid of. Training should be accessible to all. Again, I could go on for hours about this, but in the interest of time, Kieran, let's go back to the diagram and move to the next piece.
Will do. Shall we take a look at the ears next?
All right. The ears are what your stakeholders hear from the organization. We've all seen employee engagement surveys where they mention that they wish they knew more about X. Communication is an essential function to morale in ensuring that your team understands the goal. I'll give you an example. When meeting with clients, I'll sometimes ask them to walk across a room in a straight line and to a certain location. If I slide a chair in their way, they'll simply walk around it. Now, if I change those instructions just a little bit and tell them to walk in a straight line somewhere in the room, and then I slide a chair in front of them, as soon as they get to the chair, they'll either stop or change directions. This is because they did not have an end goal. We so often look at the process as what's important, when it's really the destination. You have a strong team and they know how to perform the tasks that they were asked to do, likely better than anyone. That's why you hired them. But what they do need to know is where it is all leading. Where are they going? If they know the end goal, I can promise you they'll get there. We use conversational AI tools to provide regular messaging to teams. Some of our clients use it internally and others use it externally, but in both cases, the idea is exactly the same. Provide the right information to the right people and at the right time, and do not inundate them with unwanted emails that they'll likely be deleting before they read anyway. Use a tool that communicates as your stakeholders are conditioned to communicate. Kieran, let's go back to the diagram, please.
Sure thing. Since we just talked about the ears, let's go to the eyes.
Okay, the eyes are what your stakeholders see, and this goes well beyond reading. Videos convey messages better than most, as shown in this conference. Automate your processes and don't repeat yourself when you can make a video that clearly and concisely provides the exact same information. With our relocation management company clients, we encourage them to make videos on their benefit briefings, detailed explanations of each benefit, or even their processes. Some people do want to talk to a human, but the idea of an augmented workforce is that they are more impactful when they do, and for those that don't, they have an alternative. Ask yourself if it's easier for them to type up lengthy emails, spend hours on the phone in meetings, and doing follow ups. Or might it be better if they had an arsenal of information deployable with a single click? Or better yet, deployable with a bot so the email never reaches the employee in the first place. When working in volume and at scale, we need to look at where the time wasters are. Many of us are in specialized roles, and that is perfect for this model. Are you asked the same question multiple times in a week? Then track it. If you spend more than an hour on the same thing each week, then that is over a full-time work week by the end of the year. The small things add up and actually have a real impact on budgets. Much of HR is a cost center, so it's up to us as service providers and corporate leaders to reduce those costs whenever possible. I'm watching the clock, so Kieran, let's bring the diagram back up, please.
Diagram launch engaged. Let's finish the head segment of the diagram with the mouth.
Okay, this is where your stakeholders provide feedback. No one likes to fill out surveys, do engagement assessments, or any other antiquated means of providing feedback. By using an automated tool, the teams can provide feedback with a single click, such as a smiley face, or on demand with a bot. By using a scalable platform, you can share the positive feedback to show your team members where they had wins this week and then encourage the momentum. As leaders, it is so much of our role to keep the momentum going. Momentum is productivity in our organizations, and we do want to focus on that. Whether you need to collect feedback internally or externally, is likely unquestioned that putting it into a tool that tracks and reports it saves everyone a ton of headaches. Kieran, let's go back to the diagram.
10-4 HQ. Shall we move to hands next?
Okay, here's where we get to the fun part, and we're referring to productivity. Simply put, if you can process map something, then you can automate it. AI functions off of neural networks similar to that of the human brain. There are reasoning capabilities that come through inputting statistical models and understanding the correlations. With machine learning, the AI improves while the human is saved from doing menial and demoralizing administrative tasks. As shown in this conference, bots work. They can perform most of the tasks that humans can, and in many cases, even better. A digital team member is the answer when the impossible strikes. Did your organization just have a restructure? Are you doing a group move? Do you have a busy season? When these times come, we have a few options. The first is to hire more people, and we're likely going to need to fire them soon down the road anyway. The second is to wish our teams good luck and try to keep up morale during their 60-hour work weeks. This is actually probably the more common that organizations choose, unfortunately. The third is to put in a digital team member to support the teams during the best and also the worst of times. During good times, a bot will make them more productive and allow them to focus on strategy, hitting organizational goals, and actually having time to innovate. Achievement is so often stifled by administrative tasks, and as we mentioned discussing the visuals, small things add up. Opportunity cost is seldom discussed when we talk about performance management, but it's a real thing. When dealing with high volume, count the clicks it takes to perform a task and reduce it to save both time and money. When dealing with a full schedule, look at the talent you have and what's the highest and best use of their time. The purpose of having a digital team member is to train it to be a subject matter expert and to remove the volume. Kieran, how are we doing on time?
It is time for you to move it along, sir. Let's get this finished up. I'm bringing us to the heart next.
Well, that's a great spot to close because the heart is a connection that your stakeholders have with your business. It may sound like I'm repeating myself, but stakeholders are both internal and external, and we want them to feel connected with you. It may also sound counterintuitive by saying that technology can bring us closer, but it's absolutely true. In the pandemic, we've been using Zoom to see our teams and loved ones. We use file sharing software to work on projects together, and we've been connecting in ways that we never thought possible before. Removing volume from your team gives them a greater sense of purpose and connection with your organization. By providing 24/7 availability to your customers, that gives them the reassurance that you will be there when they need you the most. With that, I would like to thank Kieran for his support during this talk, and I'd also like to thank all of you for attending this conference. If there has been any lesson from this pandemic, is that our organizations need to run lean, and we need to run lean without impacting our teams or our customers. As our clients know, we work off of a value proposition, and we provide tools and consulting to both save you money and make you more money. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time, and let's have a call to discuss how we can augment your workforce, and better yet, give you a team of superhumans. Thank you.